Looking for something to read? Well, these are the books that I've written. Hop on down to the description to find the Amazon links for all 4 of them, and keep your eyes open for more in the future. With that said, on to the video. Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am the Omni viewer, and a new round of Jurassic Park / Jurassic World Hammond Collection figures just came in, and I thought I'd go over them, share my thoughts. I'm not going to do a big in-depth review of each one like I did with the previous figures, because at this point you know how they work in principle. I'm just going to see how they function in other ways. So we will start with something familiar. A Velociraptor. Specifically, this is the Jurassic Park 3 male Velociraptor. That's what they specify, of course, because he's got the feather mohawk on top. Now, in terms of overall design and articulation, he's basically the same as the classic Velociraptor that was released earlier. Overall the same. Like, he's a little bit taller, as you can see, but otherwise, you know, same arm articulation, same leg articulation, same kind of tail, same kind of body, so on and so on. So, just the same figure? Not quite. Obviously, the head's a little different, because, like I said, he's got the feather mohawk and he's got the nose ridges. 2 design features which at the time nobody asked for and everybody thought looked terrible, but I understand this particular design has gotten some fans recently, so probably why they decided to make it a bit of a priority. But the head also has some more interesting features to it as well. As far as how they got the ridges and feathers, well, obviously they couldn't do the feathers precisely because they're these thin filaments in the movie, so they had to kind of cheat a little and make it look more like a ridge. But the combination of the painting and the sculpting and whatnot get the point across. The ridges look fine, as does the paint to accentuate them, the red and the blue you see. They also completely redid the mouth though. You may recall the classic Raptor has a very straight lip line all the way around. It's kind of part of the whole streamlined look for this particular design. But in Jurassic Park 3, the Raptors' mouths had a bit more of a curve to them. In particular, the chins curled up at the end, and that's replicated here. So it actually looks like a little bit better than the other Raptor. The head's actually a little wider, if you can see here. But still got that really wide gap between the teeth and the lips to accommodate the teeth in the upper jaw, but that's okay. I'm used to it by now. But something else that's interesting is how the neck and head have been improved in terms of articulation. Again, referring back to the classic Raptor, the neck you see this angle, that's pretty much how it is. Like, you can bend it down a little, but you can't really move the head around that much. You can bend it down too, but in terms of going straight, that's about as much as it can go. With the new Raptor design, though, you can really lean it forward. Check that out. Now he really looks like he's streamlined. So if you want to put him in a running pose, yeah, that looks far more like it does in the movies. So, yeah, I would say overall, they did a good job with the Raptor male, and, you know, I understand they did a Jurassic Park 3 female Raptor as well that's packaged with Alan Grant from that movie. I don't know if they made the same improvements to the head and neck for that one, or if they just repackaged the classic one with a different paint job. You'll have to look elsewhere if you want to know, but, overall, I think they did a good enough job. Yeah. The Jurassic Park 3 male Raptor, they delivered with this guy. Much better than the movie ever did, certainly. Since we're in the realm of small dinosaurs, may as well move on to another small dinosaur, and specifically the first of the herbivores that I've gotten from this collection. This is Friar Tuck, or as he's known in the museums, Pachycephalosaurus. Overall, not bad. I mean, the arms, as you can see, are very different because it's got the 5-fingered hands. They are small in proportion to the rest of him, but not small and thin the way the raptor arms are. And very similar to the male raptor we just looked at, you can have his head go down all the way for that classic ramming position, which, you know, that's vital for this guy. Hitting things with that huge, thick dome on his head is his entire shtick right there. Is it a perfect figure, though? I'm not quite sure I like it that much. Overall, it looks fine. It looks like the way it did in the Lost World. But the first issue I have actually is with the mouth. The mouth is on a simple hinge, as opposed to the way the carnivores look. It's more smoothly connected to the body, to the head, I mean. If you open it, though, especially if you open it all the way, you can see the hinge inside of the mouth. Even if it's not open all the way, it's closed just a little bit, you can still kind of see that. And it's not a very good look. They did not paint the hinge at all. They didn't give it that pink color. It's just green like the rest of him. Also, I'm pretty sure I got a bum figure because, like all the dinosaurs, his tail needs to attach, and it went in just fine, but the tail wasn't actually attached to the barbell, as you can see. And that is the first time this has happened with one of these figures. If I really shove it in there and I don't do anything to it, and I'm really careful, it will stay in place. But I shouldn't have to have that problem. I think I just got a warped one, which is not unheard of for me. Whenever I get collectibles, there's always a pretty strong chance that I will get one that has something wrong with it. In this case, it's the tail. Hopefully that's not a common problem with these guys. But overall, I mean, again, detail is good, but there are some issues with this one. And now on to another herbivore and our first quadruped in the line, the Ankylosaurus from Jurassic Park 3. Now this guy is sturdy, very, very sturdy. Weighs up there too, actually, as far as these figures go. Again, overall, the detail looks pretty darn accurate. The way it looks in Jurassic Park 3, and basically that design was reused for Jurassic World as well. The mouth is similar to the Pachy, but looks much better. The inner hinge is painted and better obscured. It doesn't break the illusion in any way. Still small in comparison, but I think because it's bigger than what the Pachy's head was, they were able to work with it a bit better. The feet, as you can see, they don't quite all rest on the ground. Like, you gotta do a lot of fidgeting with it to get them all really planted. But, you know, there's always a way. And interesting to note, the tail is not a bendable piece. Like with all the other dinosaurs, they've had a solid tail that's made of rubber and has a wire in it, so you can bend it. It has a more organic feel that way. But here, because it's armored, the tail is segmented, as you can see. It's all just plastic, and it's segmented so you can pose it any other way and not have to worry about being careful with a fragile wire inside. I guess they figured because it was a shorter tail and because of the armor, they could get away with doing that. So again, I think this one looks really good. It's an interesting take on the particular dinosaur. But now that we've covered this guy, we're going into weird territory with the remaining figures I got. Behold the Geosternbergia, which is technically just a different kind of Pteranodon, one with slightly different proportions and a very different head crest. From what I've read, the name is not as accepted in most circles. They just consider this a different kind of Pteranodon from the one with the longer head crest. But I guess for the line in the Hammond collection, they went with a very different name in order to, I don't know, make it more interesting or something. Now, the box says that this guy is from the Lost World. And some of you may hear that and think, wait a minute, the Geosternbergia, this design wasn't in the Lost World, was it? Don't worry, the Mandela effect is not in play here. According to the box, this is based on concept art for the creature as it was supposed to appear, but it got replaced by its more recognizable cousin. And I understand it's appeared in a couple of the games, but otherwise, this isn't technically in the movies. Though, the way they did the details, it sure looks like it could have been. Seems pretty darn close. As far as articulation goes, it's got everything you would expect. The legs are really articulated, and you can pose them back for if it's flying, or move them forward a little bit for, well, I'll get to that in a moment. Head's pretty easy to say, you know, it turns and everything. The beak is either closed or it's open. That's the way it works. You can't really, you can kind of pose it somewhere in between, but it wants to go all the way or all the way shut. Now the wings have a rubbery substance making up the membrane, similar to what the jowls on the T-Rex are made of. Oh, I guess I may also note before I get too far into that, this is the first Jurassic Park Hammond Collection dinosaur that has the Jurassic insignia in a noticeable place, on the wing itself. Normally, they're on the bottom of the feet, which it's going to be standing on most of the time, so you won't see it. Here, though, tiny feet, not really an option. I guess they just figured they had to do it like that. Anyway, the wings are made of rubber, and there is a wire within the structure of the wing itself. The hands can also turn, which means you can actually bend the wings in such a way that you can sort of make it look like it's grounded. It's not perfect, as you can see. I mean, I am just sort of doing this on the fly here, so I could probably get it better if I tried, but for all intents and purposes, it gets the job done. It's a nice feature that they chose to add, certainly. So, Geosterbergia, not bad. I mean, for a creature that doesn't actually appear in the movies. But that brings us to our next dinosaur. Behold the Irritator. Now, this has got to be one of the strangest additions to the Hammond Collection line. I thought the Concavenator was weird because he was based on a statue in the background. But this guy is not in the movies, nor is he in the books, nor is he in the comics. Based on what I've read, he's in the games, like a couple of them. But, I mean, that's it. He doesn't actually have any movie counterpart. He's been in the Dominion action figure line, very heavily featured there. So I have no idea why they chose to add him to the Hammond collection. He's essentially an original dinosaur in that case. But in terms of making him look like he belongs, they certainly did the job. He's got the same basic idea behind the dinosaurs, the theropod dinosaurs specifically in the park, where they've got a bit of a leaner edge to them as opposed to the chunkier real-life versions. It's got the ridge that's attached to the body, which means this is the closest thing we've got to a Spinosaurus figure up to this point. The tail, as you can see, is broader than your average dinosaur figures in the medium line, which are rounded. But what really impresses me are the jaws. Get a load of this. This is how wide the Irritator can open his jaws, because both parts of the jaw are hinged. That is insane. I actually put him next to the T-Rex, and I determined that if this were the same size as the T-Rex figure, its jaws would still open wider. Technically, its jaws open wider anyway, and it only doesn't seem like it would because the T-Rex is so much bigger. But yeah, this guy's got the biggest, widest jaw opening range of any of the dinosaurs up to this point. I mean, dang, that's impressive. Overall, though, still a weird choice because, like I said, he is not in the movies, and the whole point of the Hammond collection line is to make dinosaurs that are in the movies, that are fan favorites. An odd choice, a very odd choice, but I don't know, he still does look good, all things considered. And those are all the ones I've gotten up to this point. They're still doing a pretty good job, I gotta say. Even if they're starting to make some really weird choices, those weird choices are still looking very good. So, those are just my thoughts on how these guys turned out. And like I've always said, I don't encourage you guys to spend beyond your means, but some of these guys, I think, if you're dinosaur enthusiasts and Jurassic Park enthusiasts, would be worth picking up. Even if some of them, like I said, are very odd choices. Well, that's all for now. Until such time as we meet again, this is the Omni Viewer signing off. Thank you all for watching. If you want to see us keep doing what we're doing, you might consider doing all the usual YouTube things, as well as hopping down to the description to find links to DeviantArt, Patreon, Twitter, and links for the different books in the Tales from the Omni Vault universe. Your support is naturally appreciated. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.